Paddy Power are offering huge money-back specials for the whole of December. Head to paddypower.com now for more information on the selected races. Max £10 refund per customer. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello there, the snow is falling, but you have a very warm welcome to the Racing Post Weekend Review Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and in the company of my Racing Post colleague, Nick Watts, international racing expert Brendan Duke, and Paddy Power's Paddy Power. We're going to look back on more scintillating action, more fascinating clues, and I need to get the boys to see if they can help clear the picture, because the plot is thickening in some of these cases. Some of these races are getting harder and harder to suss out. Cheltenham is only 3 months away. We'll also be looking ahead to Cheltenham on Friday and Saturday. Apparently it's under a blanket of snow at the moment, but we are told the weather forecast will be no problem for the week ahead. So more great action, more great clues coming up. We will see what the best bets are. So then, Nick, before we go and look ahead, let's look back to another really interesting weekend, wasn't it? We should start with the race that topped the bill on Saturday. It was the Tingle Creek Chase, of course. And Politolog, he showed a smart turn of foot, didn't he? Fox Norton couldn't get to him, rest nowhere. What does that mean, really, with Politolog? Because with the way he's kind of progressed, you feel like you're looking at another dodging bullets rather than another masterminded, don't you? But am I being a bit harsh on him? Could he turn out to be really, really decent?
Yeah, well, I think he has. Obviously 2 races, 2 wins this season, and he's progressing very well. I've gone out on a limb all season long when people have told me Politolog's a player for the Champion Chase. I've said he's not. It's not because I don't like the horse, I don't like what he's done. He did tremendously well at the weekend, but you do go back to his Cheltenham Festival record. He's been there twice. I think he was 20th in the Coral Cup when he was running over hurdles. Only 4th in the JLT, admittedly a good JLT last season. And there'll just be horses who go to the festival with much better back form than him when it comes to the big meeting in March. I'm sure Paul Nicholls will get asked that question a lot of times over the winter about his Cheltenham record, and yeah, it does take a bit of explaining, and that takes the gloss off him for me, and I'd still be looking elsewhere for the winner of the Champion Chase. OK, well, where? Paddy, give us the prices first, and then we'll try and suss out the winner.
Yeah, so we have Altior as 7-4 favourite. Duvan is 5-2. Fox Norton 6-1, along with Politolog. Then 8-1 Min, 12 Undisso, and 14 York Hills. So I guess the two patients, Altior and Duvan, had the betting, which means there might be a bit of value there, because everybody's kind of assuming that one or both of them are going to turn up, and that they're going to be turning up in top form as well. Because if they don't, Politolog, I think that might be a little bit harsh on Politolog, looking back at the facts. But they probably found its trip now. Maybe that was it. Maybe he just needs 2 miles. And that's a decent run. 2 miles might actually suit him. I think he's probably a player with the doubts around the front too. But I'd also think Fox Norton's a big player when you bring it back to Cheltenham, and I think the course will really suit him. So I think it's actually working out to be probably as good a Queen Mother, competitive-wise, as we've had for a while.
Well, yeah, but we just don't know, do we? Look, can we assume Altior and Duvan will be okay, Nick? I mean, I just wondered with Duvan, there were encouraging noises this time last week, and then seemingly a piece of work last Thursday ruled him out, much to the chagrin of everyone who got involved. But does it feel like Willie's just biding his time with him and that he's okay? I mean, let me say this. If he turns up and he's fine and he's fully over his injury, we could be looking at 5-2 Duvan as one of the absolute gifts of all time, couldn't we?
Yeah, we could. I was slightly concerned about his absence last weekend because, I suppose he could have gone for the Hilly Way or something around the same time. But he didn't see him at all anywhere over the weekend, and, we're only guessing at his well-being, and he's on the back of an injury. I'd have slightly more confidence that Altior might make it. But my point about the race at the moment, you're asking what could win it if Politolog doesn't. Willie's got another one, Richie Silks, called Min, who I'm a big fan of that horse. I thought he was exceptional. He went chasing last season, looked really good. Such a shame that we were robbed of seeing him in the Arkle, renewal with Altior again. And it slightly muddied the waters that Willie started him off over 2.5 miles at Gowran recently. He won nicely, and he said, well, that increases the options for Min. We could stay on that trip, we could come back. So it's always a guessing game with Willie's runners, isn't it? But if Min took his chance in the Champion Chase, he's the one I'm looking to at the moment. He was very good last season. I think he could be very good this season.
Brendan, did we see the Champion Chase winner at Sandown on Saturday? And B, if we didn't, who is that Champion Chase winner?
It's hard to say. He's improving fast, Politolog, isn't he? Now that they've taught him how to settle, he'll be nudging 170 after that run, which still leaves him a bit to find with a peak form Duvan and arguably Altior. But we haven't seen either of them. So I think in a race that you'd be struggling to get 8 runners in it, he's going to run. His jumping he's just an exceptional jumper. He's settling a lot better in his races. I think he's a fair each way bet. He's around 6 or 7 to 1, is he?
Yeah, he is. So, yeah, I mean, he looks steady, doesn't he, really? I suppose there'd have to be a pretty weird set of circumstances for 3 to line up in front of him in the betting, you'd think. So, by process of elimination, he could be the each way good thing. Brendan, sticking with you, Under So in the Hilly Way at Cork, did he do anything to change your opinion about him one way or the other?
Well, no, he's a fabulous horse. I don't know what his win percentage is, but it must be up in the 80s. He's just a win machine, and that Top Gamble, given barely raceable conditions, which they were, he's a fair horse. To give him £8 and beat him out the gap, it's just a shame we didn't see him on Saturday defending his crown. It would have been a little bit more interesting, and he's probably, well, depending on what happens with Duvan, he's probably going to end up in the Ryanair. But he's just a smashing horse, and he's going to be hard to beat in the Ryanair, I think.
Would you be slightly concerned, Brennan, that the ground there at Cork, could bottom him out, and maybe another couple of those horses who ran good races? It was horrific ground, wasn't it? I mean, they were walking home, weren't they?
Yes, that's true. Although it gets very deep. He won a race in France, I think, over 2.5 miles, and then went back to 3 miles. Auteuil looks to get really, really deep. I don't know if they have Utoxeter type soil in Auteuil, but I don't think so, because this horse, in fairness, I had him wrong, because at the start of his career I was very concerned that he wouldn't last, given he's a nervous wreck on the course. He's a brute to deal with at home. He doesn't look like a horse who would have a long shelf life, but he just keeps coming back for more. Loves the game. And
Paddy, what price is Under So for the Ryanair now?
Yeah, he's just overtaken Fox Norton as favourite. He's 5 to 1. Fox Norton's 11 to 2. Min is 7 to 1. York Hill's 8 to 1. Top Notch. Sorry, I forgot Top Notch. He's in there at 6 to 1. I could forget him. And then 10 to 1 each of Duvan and Jack Adams. That's it begins already, the frustration of me calling out the same horses for 4 different races.
Yeah,
I know. Top of the market,
But look, at least we know what we're dealing with now, don't we? You don't have to have a bet. For some people now, they've pretty much turned their back on this, and they wait till the declarations, and they bet knowing A, that the horse is going to run, and B, that the bookmakers are going to be ultra competitive in terms of best prices and enhanced each way terms or whatever. Nick, does the Ryanair float your boat right now as a betting race?
It could do, yeah. Fox Norton, getting on to him, I think that might be the last time we see him over 2 miles for quite some time. I think we've kind of lulled by him, or fooled by him a little bit, because he's won 2 2-mile races prior to this. He won at Punchestown, but he beat Under So, who's essentially another 2.5 miler as well. And then, of course, he won nicely on his comeback. And so we were thinking, well, maybe champion chase again. But I think that just showed at the highest level over 2 miles that he might just prefer further these days. He was always on the back foot for me a little bit over the weekend. Politolog was kind of half a step in front of him, and he was kind of playing catch-up. That said, I mean, I was at Aintree when the horse won there last season. He looked absolutely superb. It seemed to unlock a whole new layer of improvement in him. So I think A, that'll be the last time we see him over 2 miles for a while. B, I'd love him for the Ryanair chase over 2 mile 5. Absolutely perfect for him. I think he'd take a lot of beating.
Okay, well, let's think about the King George as well, because obviously Fox Norton is being mentioned as a contender for that. But the real big clues for the King George were produced at Punchestown on Sunday in the John Durkan, when sizing John, the reigning champion from the Cheltenham last March, handed out a pretty authoritative beating to Jack Adam. It was a really, really good performance, this. And what has that done for... First of all, we'll do the King George market, please, Paddy.
Yeah, so, Mike Bite has shortened and Bristol to Maya has shortened. Bristol to Maya has got his form franked as well at the weekend. So Mike Bite is now 5 to 4. Bristol to Maya is 7 to 2. Size and John's 5 to 1. Thistlecrack 6 to 1. Fox Norton 7 to 1. And what's his name? Jack Adam, or Jack, whatever way you pronounce him. Anyway, he was 10 to 1 before the weekend. He's 20 to 1 now. So it's really kind of giving him a kick in the crown jewels. But Mike Bite's the one who's really shortened in.
Brendan, your King George thoughts, please.
Well, of course, it all depends on which one of Fox Norton or Size and John runs in the King George. And I talked to one of my best sources last night, and he hears the grass grow, this young fella, and he has it that the Fox is going to Kempton, and if you see Size and John at all over Christmas, it will be at Leopardstown. So as Nick quite rightly points out, it looked like the Fox took his form to a new level over 2.5 miles in Aintree. 3 miles could unlock more improvement. It also looks like, just based on entries, that Disco is going to go. They are the two horses who look overpriced in the market to me at the moment, but I still think Mike Bite will win.
Okay. It's going to be some race. A fascinating update there from Brennan's Mole, wasn't it?
I think you're spot on as well. You look at the quotes from Jessica Harrington today. She said he might not go anywhere over Christmas, and she wasn't in any way committing him to Kempton whatsoever. So I think it's very likely, having just heard a few whispers from Colin Tizard at the weekend as well, that he really wants to go 3 miles with Fox Norton, and why not? He stayed 2.5 ever so well at Aintree, and you know, he could get it. He could easily get it.
But would he be a bet, do you think? Who would you back right now?
I'm still with Mike Bite. I'm still in his camp. You know, you think back a year ago, and you know, if he hadn't have been thrown at the last fence, he would have won the Felton by as far as you like. So it would still be me for him. No worries about his quirks. I think he's the one to beat. Could get them all in trouble if he gets in that relentless rhythm of his.
Paddy, if all these turn up, or even if only 1 or 2 of the main contenders in the betting don't turn up, we're in for some race here, aren't we?
Oh, it's a proper cracker. Now afterwards we'll be doing the real well, Cheltenham's different and all that kind of stuff. But if you do get a Might Bite running any sort of race like he ran last year, Bristol de Mai has been, we talked about this before, but possibly underrated. Like last year mightn't have been. He might have had as good a preparation as this year. It looks like he's even better horse, so he's going to be brilliant as well. If Tissa Crack will have to come back. Fox, yeah, you're right. I mean, it could be an absolute cracker, an unbelievably good Boxing Day or St. Stephen's Day, as we call it over here. And a good reason to get up on the 26th and dust yourself down and have a look at the race. And yeah, definitely.
And if you were advocating a bet at this stage, Paddy, who would it be on?
Yeah, I think Mike Bite will win, but I don't think 5-4 is worth it. I mean, Anti-Pose will be back on the 5-4.
Outrageously short, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so as well. There's a bit of 13 data around, a very small bit of 13 data around, but I think 5-4 is a bit tight. Although it could be that in the day, depending on the decks. Even if Fox Norton ran, you might chance them just to do a Size and John. Remember, Size and John's a step up and trip. Obviously brought a new horse out, so maybe Fox Norton's the same. But at this stage, before the weekend actually, I was thinking that Size and John might win yesterday, but that Jack Adam would run a bit better, and he might still be a bet for the King George, because that was going to be the plan with him. But I'm just not sure. Now. He got well stuffed.
Brennan, you're not a man to take instant attraction to horses at the head of the market, but even for your general disdain of favourites, that 5-4 Might Bite, fantastic horse though he is. I mean, this race is either going to have to cut up, or he's going to be a real superstar to land those odds, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's basically just that you know he's going, and that there are doubts about the rest of them, so that's factored into the price. But I think if you've got a situation where it was Might Bite, Bristol de Mai, Disco, the Fox, who else could you throw in there?
Who else could we have in there, do you think? What's he?
Thistlecrack, of course. I'm terrible to forget about.
Yeah.
You had those 5 horses. He's going to be closer to 2-1 than 5-4, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd have thought so. You absolutely would think so. And don't forget,
just add Bruce on Disco. Disco's one that I had in the back of my mind for the Ryanair. But I guess Disco is is King George really on the cards for him, and then King George Gold Cup maybe.
Yeah, why not? Why on earth not? Funny enough, I was speaking to James Pyman today, and he says Disco's the one for the Gold Cup. He really thinks he's massively overpriced. Any Disco fans out there, Nick?
A massive fan of the horse, yeah.
He's a bit underrated, isn't he?
Well, now he's proved he stays as well. When you want to Punchestown in the spring, there's no reason why he can't. You know, he's not a Gold Cup player, absolutely.
And Brendan, could you be dragged into backing Disco for the Gold Cup?
Well, I think Paddy Power are wisely keeping him on side for the King George, but looking at the way the quotes and the way the entries are shaken down, he's going to run. Well, I'm fairly sure he's going to run in the King George, and there's some big prices available about the King George with other firms, and that they might be worth taking, but before the Gold Cup.
Okay. Now then, we all got very excited before the Henry VIII Novice Chase at Sandown on Saturday. 5 runners, all real high quality. The race certainly didn't pan out as the market expected, and probably most people expected, with a Finian's blowing out, didn't he? Brain Power fell at the last when beaten, and that left So Royale to beat North Hill Harvey. Very interesting race. So Royale now, Nick, is absolutely in every calculation you can think of for the Arkle, isn't he?
Well, understandably so. He got rid of a whole host of potential Arkle candidates in one fell swoop, didn't he? And you know, Finian Zoski's got rid of him. He's going up to 3 miles now. Brain Power should have been suited by the Henry VIII going right-handed, and you know, obviously he jumped so well at Kempton first time. He was well beaten off. North Hill Harvey well beaten off. They were, you know, so he just travelled so well into the race and jumped superbly. Interesting one for connections, because obviously you've got Footpad as well at the head of the market. So whether they go with 2, whether they split them, whether Footpad will go for a different race, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he reminded me of Top Notch when he won that Grade 1 at Sandown last season. He's not the biggest horse, but he flew around those railway fences and he looked an absolute natural. So yeah, he's got to be well up there.
Paddy, what's the latest on the Racing Post Arkle?
So the latest is Footpad's 4-1. So Royale is 8-1, Brain Power 10-1, 12-1 Petit Mouchoir, and 20-1 and bigger the rest.
What price is North Hill Harvey?
North Hill Harvey, we took him out of the betting, but he's generally around a 16-20-1 shot.
I wouldn't give up on him. He likes that Cheltenham Hill, and you just don't know what else is going to emerge coming into it. Brendan, can you throw any light on the Arkle picture for us?
No particular light, Bruce. Again, like Nick, I was so impressed with So Royal in terms of his jumping and his travelling. He was even arguably a touch keen early in the race, but he just travelled all over them and was going to win pretty snugly. I even thought Brain Power was going to get run down for second. I don't think Brain Power likes it up him. He's a bit of a bully, and if you can get him at it, the old head goes up in the air. So I do think, actually, I certainly think So Royale will run in the Arkle. He's never run over a trip more than 2 miles. So I don't think Alan King will want to run him in any other race. If Willie wanted to move Footpad, he could. But the owners have previous with this, with Peace & Co. and Top Notch, who they could have split up, but they decided they'd rather have 2 bullets at the Triumph Hurdle. They had a 1-2, so I think they'll go for 2 bullets at the Arkle as well.
Didn't they have a 1-2-3? Wasn't Hargham third? Or am I getting out my comfort zone?
Hargham was JP.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah, it was the other one. Oh, yeah, you know, same stable. Okay, now then, let's look at the Grand National then. Black Lion, very confidently tipped up by the lads in Friday's Postcast. Well done to them. He duly did the business, so did Gasline Boy. And again, the guys, particularly Frank, were very confident about Gasline Boy. So hopefully a few of you managed to double those 2 up. They're both very good indeed. They won the Beecher, they won the Grand Sefton. And what are their entry prices now from Paddy Power?
So Black Lion's favourite, 10-1 favourite, though double figures, I suppose, was one good thing. Native Rivers 20-1, Total Recall 20-1, Cause of Cause 21. But the ones you asked about, so Gasline Boy is 33s now.
Okay.
And should we mention definitely Red, maybe?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he ran Saturday as well, yeah. So Black Lion is a clear favourite, 10-1. Though.
Okay, well, Brendan, take us through what it all means. I mean, if you were being optimistic, you'd say Black Lion once again showed a liking for the track. He won very easily. He's got loads and loads of great entry form. But on the other hand, he's surely going to get absolutely smashed up by the handicapper now. And does he stay the national trip?
Yes, well, I think you've basically summed up my thoughts on it, Bruce. So he's 153, he's one off there. He'd be lucky if it's only 160. I was thinking 163. What did you think?
Yep.
So if he goes up to 1,
you'd say go up 10 for that. Yeah, I mean it's hard to say, isn't it? You know.
Okay, so he goes up 10 for that. So he got beat off 152 in it last year. Now, of course, he will be ridden differently. He's just a joy to watch over those fences. He loves jumping them. It wasn't Noel's finest moment last year, and he was only beaten 8 lengths. So you could argue it's got to be tough. They'll compress the weights, which will help the top weights, which will be he'll be one of them at least. So it could be a couple of pounds well in, but it's gonna be difficult for him. He wouldn't strike me as value at the moment.
Brendan, you don't strike me as the sort of person who spends much of his December trying to suss the Grand National winner. But if there was a horse that you thought might possibly offer a smidgen of value at this stage, who would it be?
Well, I've already backed a horse for the Grand National back in August, would you believe, Bruce? Because I happened to be over in England and I had some money handy. So I backed Native River, who I think is designed for the job. Okay. And I think he'll run well in the Gold Cup again, probably not good enough. And then he'll win the Grand National.
Nick, what are your entry thoughts now after what we saw at the weekend? I mean, you're obviously the patron of the Black Lion fan club. You love the beast, don't you? Can he do it?
I think he can. Weight doesn't. It's not that it doesn't bother me in the national, but I think it's maybe less important in that race as some others, and that's for the reason that you have to take to the track. You have to enjoy it. It's a unique thing, unique fences that most horses won't see in their lifetime, apart from running in that. So the fact that Blackline has taken it to it so well, I don't think he's made a mistake in the national or on Saturday. He just measured every fence superbly. And I think you got a glimpse into how they're going to ride him in the national that Gavin Sheehan pulled off on Saturday. He was much more patient on him, didn't bring him through till late in the race and didn't let him go till after the last. And you saw the result. He had a lot in the tank and he went away and won easily. As Brendan said earlier, you know, if Noel Fahili had his time again, he wouldn't have gone on 3 or 4 out in the national, and he would have saved him. I think the only concern, if you are a Blackline supporter, and I definitely count myself as one, is that he's won so well that connections might even be tempted to give him a crack at the Gold Cup. You look at him, he just seems to have grown in stature this year. This time last year, he's getting beaten in the Hennessy and didn't quite finish his race off. He was well beaten at Wetherby at Christmas by Definitely Red. He wasn't quite on his game, but he certainly was at Aintree in the spring, and he's returned this season. And
you look at the Wetherby run.
The Wetherby run is absolutely fantastic, and Definitely Red has come out on the Frank Knapp with an easy win at Aintree on the same card. And you know, you look at that Bristol de Mai Blackline, he was beaten half a length. He's just hosed up in that Aintree race. Nigel Twiston-Davies is a very bullish sort of trainer. I think if you've got a wet spring at Cheltenham, you have much worse each way shots than Blackline.
Paddy, do you have a national thought for us?
I kind of agree with Nick. I think Blackline, while he'll be carrying a lot of weight, I still think, I mean, the fact that he shows a bit of a love for the fence is a positive. But I think Definitely Red, I think they said afterwards that Definitely Red is going to go for the bowl, which I'm surprised with, and I hope he turns up in the Grand National, because I think Definitely Red would be a player at Aintree as well.
Absolutely. Any other weekend eye catchers, folks? Brendan, any horses that the listeners should be putting in their Racing Post horse tracker?
Well, there was a fascinating race, the Foxrock Handicap run at Navan. Now, this is one of the most interesting plots of the season. So, Acapella Bourgeois, they're going to change his name to Soprano Bourgeois because the lads have done their nuts on him the last couple of runs. So, I don't know. I mean, I assume, I don't know if Paddy has betting on the Paddy Power, but they're probably going to have to put him in favourite, because I don't think the handicapper can put him up. And obviously, they think he's thrown in off 149. But the winner, Polydam, who was a stable companion, who they backed off the boards in Punchestown in the spring, and he disappointed. He really was so impressive in terms of just one of these out in front, jumping, travelling in bad ground. And I know that someone said to me, I don't know how true it is, that Willie wanted to keep him till the spring because he thinks he's a better horse on better ground. And if that's the case, he's a horse who's really going places. And Avenir Duneville won. It was a joy to watch him as well. Another bold front-running jumping performance in Punchestown on Sunday. He's going to go for the race you sponsor on Stevens' Day in Leopardstown. Now, he probably won't be good enough to deal with footpad, but it'd be a sight to behold to watch the two of them jumping away, because they look like two proper jumpers. And just a quick shout out to Highland keeping it real in Hong Kong.
That was marvellous, wasn't it? What a horse he was. Were you up early for that one, Brendan? Or out late for that one?
No, I taped it and then I watched it as live. Okay.
When you say taped, I really hope that you actually did use like a VHS cassette for that.
No. I'd have to. Well. I Sky Plus that it just doesn't trip off the tongue the same way, does it?
I still say taped, and my kids said their eyes raised to the heavens as again and again. Yeah. Any other weekend night catchers from you, Nick?
Yeah, I'd give one. Ami Desbois, Graham McPherson's horse, who's got off to a brilliant start over fences. I think he's 33-1 for the RSA, something like that. He wouldn't be that price if he was trained by someone else, someone more high profile. So Ami Desbois.
Ami Desbois. And anything from you, Paddy? Even whatever you're going to give me. I also want a line on Holographic, who won the bumper at Punchestown yesterday, and apparently is very well touted. Have you got any prices on the bumper yet, Pad?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've some horses priced up, and he's one of them. He's favoured now 8-1 Holographic, and I agree with you. It was very impressive. And you were mentioning before we started as well about Downtown Getaway last week, another really impressive one. And that's the 16-1 second favourite. So
it's crazy, isn't it? You know, you really shouldn't fancy anything for the bumper now, because you just don't know how many of the horses you've seen. But that Downtown was absolutely phenomenally impressive, I thought. So I might have to have a
But just don't forget though, when it comes to the festival, like the days of like Willie Mullins having 7-4, the famous last word, 7-4 favourite for the bumper seem to be over. Like, it's been very competitive the last few years. It's been a real wide open betting heat, hasn't it? So you might get a very short price favourite.
The only thing is,
they're not going to run often.
The Gigginstown horses, he doesn't like the bumper, does he? So you're unlikely to get suddenly undone by some maroon-clad machine coming out and then jumping into the front of the betting. Right, any weekend eye catchers, Pad?
No, I would have agreed with you. Holographic was one for me just to stick in the notebook. But again, on the bumper, like you just don't know how good they are. Because after Christmas, Holographic will get laughed by something else. Like he's probably Willie Mullins' 10th best.
Okay, let's look ahead to Cheltenham this weekend.
Paddy Power are offering huge money-back specials for the whole of December. Head to paddypower.com now for more information on the selected races. Max £10 refund per customer. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Nick Watts, you live roughly halfway between here in Southwark and Cheltenham, and I saw a picture you tweeted yesterday of your garden covered in snow. Now, you're not the sort of person to do one of those sly brags, look how big my garden is. You were just doing it to show us how deep the snow was, weren't you? But it is a lovely looking garden. But more to the point, what's your latest feeling? Because obviously you're a son of the soil, you're a farmer. Do you think the weather will be all right? Will we race at Cheltenham this weekend?
Yeah, I'd say we definitely race. From what I heard, they've had quite a layering of snow at Cheltenham as well. That's going to melt. So I imagine, and I think there's some rain, sleety kind of conditions to come. So I think it's going to be very hard work. I mean, yeah, you said, I did tweet a picture, but that was obviously, it was a novelty. We don't get much snow like that, and I was expecting a bit, but not that much. So, I went to bed the night before and it was completely bone dry, and then woke up to a massive carpet of snow. I struggled to make it in, actually.
Beautiful. Well done. You're such a trooper. You always do. Brendan, will you be paying a visit? You normally like a little Cheltenham trip if you can, don't you?
Yes, I do know. My next Cheltenham trip will be for that trials meeting in January. I'm going to pass this weekend.
OK, so we've got two cracking days, Friday and Saturday, both live on ITV, which is great news. And also good news is that Paddy Power have priced up all 4 Friday races. So let's look at them. Starting with, I think the first TV race is the 155. And Paddy, perhaps you'd oblige with a show of prices.
Yeah, this is the Mayor's Handicap Chase thing. And we have Soxy as favourite there at 9-2. Miss Parfois is 5-1 along with Theatre Territory. 11-2, Miss Crick is going to be top rate. Song Saz 6-1. 8-1 Sparkling River, and 10-1 and bigger the rest. So obviously hard to know who's actually going to turn up and run, but I think Soxy justifiably top of the market because Burglar O'Brien's obviously in good decent form, and she's on a hat trick, loves the soft ground, so I presume it'll be soft at Cheltenham on
I would
Friday.
say so. It's good to soft at the moment underneath that snow. Let's go through the 4 races and get a feel for the market, and then we'll ask the lads, because they might have a tip for every single race, but we'll just see if they fancy anything. What a moment favourite for the 2:30, the handicap chase that features plenty of big names depending on who actually turns up on the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple of them double entered, like you said. But what a moment, 7-2. What's his name? 4-1. 5-1 Vicente. 6-1 Robbinsford and Virgilio, and 10-1 and bigger the rest. Then I'll just go through them. And the next one is
the cross country next.
The cross country, yeah. So we have, I think JP has 7,000 entries in this probably, but Josie's Orders is the one as the favourite, presuming he turns up and runs 6-4. Then you got 9-2 Kingswell, Theatre 5, Cantlow, 10-1 each Emtada Supreme.
You bottled out of pronouncing that French one there, didn't you? Vicomte de Soy.
Vicomte de Soy. Where's he gone? Did I miss him out of the list?
5-1.
There you go. I'm out of order. 5-1. Totally missed him out of the list. But yeah, Vicomte de Soy is in there 5-1 as well. The one that I backed the last day didn't quite get home. And then in the handicap hurdle, which is also by the City Post handicap hurdle, we have the Dutchman is 4-1 favourite. Look 'em Down is 9-2. Huntsman's Son 6-1. Antaros as well. Left Out Champers and Ice. I probably should have these in betting order in front of me. Champers and Ice is 9-2. So look, load of names you recognise. I'm a wide open race at the entry stage.
You've only read out 1 million betting shows in your life. It'll take a while to get that.
I know, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Well,
when I used to be a board marker, Bruce, I was much better at this.
I was a board marker as well. 1984 at Mecca's Credit Office, and I enjoyed it no end. Right, Paddy, having done all the hard work, giving us the prices, give us a winner or two.
Okay, so I think Josie's Orders, if she runs, will probably win, but 6-4. We'll probably possibly go off odds on the day, so it might be worth taking, but you have to know that he's definitely running. We've got, let's see, in the, I don't know what's going to run in that December handicap chase. I'm going to leave that one alone, but in the first race, I do think Soxy is 9-2 favourite, so it looks like it's going to be a competitive race. But I think it might cut up a little bit, and Soxy might go for a bit shorter than that, presuming she definitely runs in the Mares Handicap Chase. I think she could be a decent favourite.
Brendan, have you had a chance to formulate any thoughts yet on the Friday Friday Cheltenham card even?
Not massively. I thought I dug one out in the 2:30 mystery, and then I saw he was also entered in the Welsh National. Because this horse has a really good record fresh, and the form, he's £5 higher than when he was second in the Midlands National, but that Midlands National could not be working out better. Looked a really strong race. So I tweeted on behalf of the listeners, well, kind of on behalf of myself, but we're all in it together. I tweeted Michael Studamore, a bloody good egg that he is. He got back to me and said the plan at the moment is the Welsh National, but if it got heavy at Cheltenham, which, as Nick says, there's 25 mils of snow waiting to melt into it. There's rain during the week. They may even put the covers down when it gets cold, which seems to have an impact on how heavy it can get as well. If he decided to change his mind, Michael Scudamore, and go this way, that 10-1 would look a very fair price to me.
I'll tell you what, Brennan, isn't it good when trainers get back to you like that? I mean, that really is excellent. Connecting with the racing fans, the racing public, doing their bit. Well done, Michael Scudamore, and for that reason...
Well done. I mean, he doesn't know me from Adam. It was just a very decent thing to do.
He probably does know you. He probably does. Your legend goes before you. Nick, weekend, not weekend winners, Friday fancies.
I'd agree with Paddy about Josie's orders. He's still kind of feeling his way a little bit. He got beaten in the Risk of Thunder last time, but I think he's still a bit ring rusty because he had a long time off the track. I think the soft ground will really play to his strengths. Champers on Ice in the last race, I'd have a quite strong fancy. Well, didn't run badly at Haydock last time, finished 5th behind Sam Spinner, who looks a really, really good horse. He's another one that doesn't mind it testing either. So with a run under his belt, I'd give him a go in the last race.
OK, if you fancy winning a free £25 or €25 bet from Paddy Power, and who wouldn't, all you've got to do is tweet the answer to this question using the hashtag Postcast rather. So, open a tweet, key in the name of the favourite for the King George with Paddy Power. We've already talked extensively about him. Key in his name, then hit the hashtag, and then the word Postcast, and then send, and you've got half a chance of winning. Listen in on Friday, and we'll let you know whether you've won or not.
Paddy Power are offering huge money-back specials for the whole of December. Head to paddypower.com now for more information on the selected races. Max £10 refund per customer. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Right then, Cheltenham on Saturday, and the highlight, the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup. Nick Watts has had plenty of Caspian Caviar in his life, I'm sure. Before we get his fancy, we'll get the latest betting from Paddy Power.
Okay, so we have Clan des Obeaux and Starkitect are about 6-1 favourites. Then Le Parisienne 13-2. Got 8-1 Ballyalton, 9-1 Roman de Saman, and 10-1 King's Odyssey, and 12-1 and Bigger the Rest.
Nick Watts, what do you reckon will happen here?
Well, back Starkitect in the Bet Victor last time.
Oh, bad luck.
Well, yeah, I mean, going into the home straight and you've got Splash of Ginger in front of you, you think, well, you should be getting past that. And, you know, you're not counting money, but you're thinking, I've got a good chance here. And you couldn't battle past him. I've got a bit of a question mark about Starkitect. I think he's another one that he travels well. He's promised a lot, but he hasn't quite delivered. I'm going to go with Clan des Obeaux. I think the Whisper form. He's raced against Whisper twice this year, and he's finished within half a length of him both times. Whisper's now up to 169 rating-wise. Clan des Obeaux's 155. Won really nicely at Haydock last time out. He's one that won't mind the ground at all if it gets really testing, because it was similar to that last time. He's just a horse, I think, that's always... Last season he promised a lot and didn't quite go through with it. I think he's just needed a bit of time because he's still very young. I think he's maturing at the right time now, and I think this is the logical next step for him before he tries graded races. So for me, even off a big weight, I think he's the one to beat.
Who do you think will be in the plate?
In the plate?
Riding, in the saddle.
Who rode him last time? Was Harry Cobden, I think. Was
Harry
last
Cobden,
time at Haydock, so it could well be him again. He's on high. But one thing, just listening to Paddy's quote says, Splash of Ginger's in this race again.
Oh,
he's only gone up.
You can't discount him in anything.
No,
can
he's
you?
only gone up 5. I discounted him last time to my cost, and he's only gone up £5 for that win in the Bet Victor. He's off a mark of 139, so he would be getting a lot of weight off Clan des Obeaux. He's not out of this at all, and I think bookies probably will underestimate him again.
Well, he's in at 10-1 now, so it looks like they've cottoning on to the fact that you can't mess with the ginge. Brennan, what are your thoughts on this race?
Well, I thought Corrimore Lock looked interesting. Now it's not Plan A because he was due to run in the Peterborough on Sunday, but the fact that he was going to run in the Peterborough, I think they think this horse is pretty well in off 154, and he was very well backed in the Bet Victor. I thought at around 12 to 1. He was the one he looked like he'd short to me. I mean, he jumped so well up until that pesky water jump. But why do you even have water jumps? They should come to Ireland. We don't need water jumps. And if he can avoid a mistake at the water jump, I thought his jumping was really impressive. I think he's well handicapped, and I think the cash will come from. I think that 12 to 1 is more than fair.
Okay, well, I shall chip in with On Tour, a horse I like very much and owes me one after falling last time in a race which he surely would have won on Ladbroke Trophy Day, I would have thought. Paddy, who do you think is going to win the Caspian Caviar?
Yeah, I think Paul Nicholls might have it. Paul Nicholls must be the leading trainer of seconds this year. He seems to have loads of horses just getting touched off, and I think Clan des Obeaux is one that's been very impressive so far, and I think it's going to be going back to the way things used to be when the big Saturday races was won by Paul Nicholls every week, because he had it last week. He might have it again this week. I think Clan des Obeaux is slightly ahead of Le Parisienne, and it could be a 1-2.
I tell you, punters love a Nicholls, don't they? You know, they get stuck in, don't they? They're always pretty well backed, aren't they, those Nicholls beasts, Paddy?
They are. They're very, very well backed because, you know, they turns up, especially the handicap chasers, I think. They turn up and when they're well fancied, they usually go close and most often win, I think.
Absolutely ridiculously good trainer. Well, on the undercard, we've got the Unibet International Hurdle, but kind of summing up the situation with 2 mile hurdlers at the moment. It's been reopened. The new one is gunning for about his 15th success in the race. Brendan, I just want to get your view on this situation with 2 mile hurdlers because, you know, the champion hurdle's fallen apart, hasn't it? You've got 2 potential stars in there, but not a great deal else. You know, this race is normally one of the big stepping stones, and yet they're scrabbling around. The Fighting Fifth was a procession. What's going on?
Well, I mean, even last year, I can't remember exactly which race it was, but there was another champion hurdle trial added to the programme. It's the fastest growing franchise in national hunt racing, just a champion hurdle trials left, right and centre. And as you say, nothing to run in them. So they need to cut this stuff out, and there's no need for them. I mean, people are talking about you could have a situation where Beauvoir and Faugheen get it on the Christmas hurdle. I think that's too much to hope for, but that would be great.
It certainly would.
If you could have that sort of become like the King George relative to the Gold Cup, could be that race relative to the champion hurdle.
But Brendan, if we don't get that clash, then basically the first meaningful, remotely interesting 2 mile top level hurdle race is going to be the champion hurdle.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
It's not great, is it, Watsy?
No, I think this one has always suffered a little bit, maybe because of its proximity to the Christmas programme. And you remember years ago, Relkill used to turn up and win it every single year, and the new one's been doing it lately, and it'd be great if he could win again. The annoying thing for me about this, and I'll be fascinated to see the entries, this for me was where Defi Desal should have made his comeback. It would have been the absolutely ideal race for him. Why they were running him at Ascot over 2 miles 3, a new trip and all that kind of stuff, I do not know. It would have been the classic place for him to start off.
But it wasn't the trip that undid him, was it?
I think it was a risk. I just didn't think it was ever the right race for him. He should have been running, or hopefully he still will, but I don't know. I'll have to wait and see the entries. But Saturday's race is the one he should have been going in.
OK. Nick, anything else you fancy this weekend? Anything you're looking out for?
Yeah, if it's as we predicted and it's getting really heavy and you know, deep ground, then Kustar Sivila is entered in the novice chase there. He's won at Cheltenham before in really testing conditions, beat Lamy Surge, which looks very good form now. And he's done well over fences. He's third last time behind Finian's. I know Finian's let the form down a bit at the weekend, but wrong trip and all that. Move with the Times was in second. So I think it'll generally work out. And Kustar Sivila for Lizzie Kelly on Saturday. OK, Brendan, anything else we should be looking out for at the weekend?
Nothing massively. I was struggling with those entries. If the new one is going to go for the international hurdle on deep ground on his beloved new course, he'll be very hard to beat, but unfortunately I don't even know what's running against him, Bruce.
No one does yet because they've reopened it. And what about you, Paddy? Anything we should be looking out for?
I don't know about the other race, to be honest with you yet, Bruce. I'm just going to be extra bullish about Clan des Obeaux. I really think he's going to win.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much, chaps. We will be back on Friday looking at the weekend in greater detail. We've also got a football podcast on Thursday. And don't forget, if you do enjoy the podcasts, please make sure you rate, review and subscribe on iTunes.
Paddy Power are offering huge money-back specials for the whole of December. Head to paddypower.com now for more information on the selected races. Max £10 refund per customer. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.